Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 974th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. And what a cracking battle I've got for you today. This is a very close battle as well, and this is fought on one of our custom maps. As you can see, this is one of the maps that we fought on quite a lot in the past. Very undulating ground map. I know I talk about undulating ground quite a lot, but it certainly does make you very aware of your tactical ground movement when you have got an undulating ground map, okay? Because you certainly don't want to be on a low point when your enemy is on a high point, if you see what I mean. As we move towards the rock here, you'll see that there's higher ground there by the side of the rock there, which is quite useful to form up on, you know, because then the enemy have got to attack uphill there, or up the slope if you like there, and there's a higher ground there as well if you want to form up on there. So as I say, very undulating ground on this map. It makes it even more interesting, I think. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Demon. Now Demon has got 14 infantry, okay, 2 pigs, 4 cavalry, and a dog unit there. Okay, we'll have a look at that a little bit more in depth. There you are, you can see there that he's got his dogs there. Look. Did you know that they've got a small fear factor, war dogs have? They're fast moving. A lot of people used to bring them in the past to chase enemy archers away. And then, of course, you've got the incendiary pigs. Now, we're going to have a little bit of a closer look at them a little bit later on in the battle. But they can be very important in this particular battle. And you'll see what I mean later on. Okay. If you notice here, you'll see that Demon has got an extra morale boosting unit in an eagle unit there. So well done to Demon. I always say the more morale the better, if you like. And I'm guessing he just probably got, yep, just gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. Okay, so that's Demon's army there. Quite interesting there. As I say, the incendiary pigs, you'll see about them later on. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Spitfyr. Now he's got 14 Pharaoh Guard spearmen, 4 chariots and 2 cavalry in his Egyptian army. Now remember, this map is a Persian desert map, so all his Egyptian troops will be getting the desert bonus. Okay, and they say 8 upgrades. They've all got spears here, as you can see, so they're anti-cavalry to start off with, but also with the desert bonus and the upgrades he's got on them, I think they'll be quite good at holding enemy infantry as well. And if we have a look at the chariots there, of course they've got the hit points, they've got the morale sapping ability as well as good attacking specifications. But a good thing about these chariots, they don't run amok. So when they get routed, they just leave the battlefield like any other unit. So I always think that's a bit of a bonus for chariot units that do that. So there you are, that's a quick look at his cavalry general. Those of you that might not have seen an Egyptian cavalry general, there he is, like the hat he wears there. Yeah, so that's the cavalry, Egyptian cavalry general unit there. It'll have 2 hit points there, fast moving. So it'll be interesting to see how well Spitfyr handles that Egyptian army. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Fesen. Now he's just got 16 Sacred Band Spearmen. Yes, 16 Sacred Band Spearmen. Okay, and you have a look at the upgrades on his Spearmen, you'll see he's got 8 upgrades, 2 veteran stripes, gold shield, gold attack on all of his Sacred Band Spearmen there. Now remember, this is a no archer, no slinger battle, okay, so that's why no one's got any archers or slingers in this battle, as there are no archers or slingers. But also you'll notice that he hasn't got any cavalry, so Fesen's got no cavalry, just 16 Sacred Band Spearmen. Okay, our last teammate is myself. Spartan Commander has bought the Greek cities faction. I've got 12 Spartans and 4 heavy pale tests. Okay, those of you that watch our battle videos regularly will know that it's very rare that I bring pale tests, but you'll see why a little bit later on in the battle. Okay, they can throw those spears there, so they are missile troops. And just look at how diverse our team is. We've got Rome with Demon, we've got Egypt with Spitfyr, we've got Carthage with Fesen, and myself with Greek cities. Should be a cracking close battle for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have RTW player Varus, who is for the first time bringing Numidia. Now, his for Numidia, because it is looked upon as one of the weaker 31k factions, we have to change the rules a little bit to be able for Numidia to compete on the 31k battlefield. So the only rules for Numidia are 3 elephants max, no artillery, and no archers. Okay, so that's the only 3 rules for Numidia: 3 elephants max, no archers, and no artillery. So that's the only rules. So he has actually got 3 elephants, 5 camels, and 12 cavalry. Okay, so he's basically got 17 cavalry and 3 elephants there. Okay, so there are the camel riders there. Okay, so obviously in the desert they're going to get a desert bonus there. Okay, and then you've got the light cavalry. For those of you that might not have seen Numidian light cavalry before, there's a long shield light cavalry. And there, of course, you've got the elephants there. I think the elephants have got something like a 13 hit points. Of course, they've got a massive fear factor and a massive charge bonus as well. So make no mistake, by changing the rules here for Numidia, you can make Numidia a very powerful 31k faction, as a lot of us have seen in the past there. So as I say, this is the first time that Varus has bought this Numidian army, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles it. Okay, but as I say, because their infantry is so poor, no matter what upgrades you put on them, that's why we've kind of thought about the best rules for Numidia to get them into the 31k game. Okay, their next teammate is RTW player Barclayman. Now Barclayman's got 16 pikes, 1 cavalry general, and 3 chariots. Now check out the upgrades here. If you notice, the forward units of his battle formation are just gold shield, gold attack. Okay, that's because he knows that's going to make first contact with the enemy. They're going to suffer probably a lot of pile of damage there, and so he's not going to put a lot of money. He's not going to spend a lot of money on those forward units there. But I'm guessing that yeah, you are. The rest of his units behind that forward battle line there, you'll see I've got 8 upgrades, 2 veteran stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So all the units behind that front battle line there are all up 8 upgrades. But just look at the length of those Pontus pikes that our men have got to fight down to kill the man on the other end. So you can see how much of a hard job that is for our troops there. And there's the Pontus cavalry general there. And you can see that he's got the chariots there. Now, as we talked about before, these chariots, big attacking specifications, big morale slapping abilities, as well as their hit points. But of course, as we've talked about so many times in the past, if they run amok, they start killing both friend and foe alike and become a menace to both friend and foe alike. So I always say to people, unless you're confident and competent with chariots, you really need to think whether you want to bring them or not, because they really are a double-edged sword. And like we've said before, if your chariots run amok and start killing your allies' troops, you do become unpopular very quickly. So but we know that Barclayman is very good with chariots. Okay, their next teammate is Brotherhood member Mantu. Now Mantu's got the bog standard 31k Roman army of 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. This has been the bog standard 31k Roman army for many, many years, tried and tested and battle hardened. Okay, now here I'd like to introduce Sith Kratos. Now I know a lot of RTW veterans watch Rome Total, watch our battle videos here. Can you remember the Sith clan? Okay, so they were a really powerful clan back in the early days of Rome Total War. Now Kratos here says he hasn't played Rome Total War for maybe more than 10 years. Okay, so as I say, he's the only Sith clan member on Rome Total War now. And I think the Sith heyday was probably 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very, very early on in Rome Total War's history there. As I say, it's nice to see a Sith back on Rome Total War. Now he's got 12 infantry, 2 light infantry, and 6 cavalry. Okay, but as I say, veterans watching this, I know a lot of you will remember the Sith clan, and as I say, Kratos here hasn't played for more than 10 years, so I think he feels he might be a little bit rusty. He's got his light units in front of his heavy infantry there. The light units there, of course, to soak up enemy pilers. And then if we look at the cavalry at the back there, just gold shield, gold attack there on his cavalry. So it'll be interesting to see how well he does. And I say this might be the third game he's played in 10 years. So as I say, he was worried about being a bit rusty. Okay, so you've got Numidia with Varus, you've got Pontus with Barclayman, you've got Rome with Mantu, and you've got Rome with Kratos. It's got the potential to be a cracking battle. Right, okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have a cavalry count, and we're going to look at our cavalry first. So Demon, as you can see, has got 4 cavalry there. Okay, and over here we've got 4 chariots, so that's 8 so far, and 2 cavalry. So we've actually got 10 cavalry and chariots here. That's all we've got. Of course, Fesen's got no cavalry, and I haven't got any cavalry either. Okay, as you can see, I've got no cavalry either. So we've got 6 cavalry and 4 chariots. Okay, so we've got kind of 10 cavalry and chariots all together. Now let's have a look at the enemy numbers here. Okay, we'll just have a quick look at the enemy cavalry numbers here. So you can see that Kratos has got 6. Okay, so that's 6 there. I think Barclayman, no sorry, Mantu's got 6 as well. So that's 12 cavalry units already. So they already outnumber us cavalry wise. And then you've got 3 chariots and a cavalry there as well. So what's that? 12 and 4 there, so that's 16. Okay, so you got the chariots there as well, so that's 16 cavalry and chariots they got. And of course Numidia is 20 cavalry and elephants. So all together, right, with elephants, chariots and cavalry, they've got 36 units. Yes, 36 cavalry, chariots and elephants, and we've just got 10 cavalry and chariots there. And the only reason I'm telling you this is because that could make a real difference later on in this battle. Okay, so you can see they've got a massive advantage here, and they do make the most of it. Right, okay, so just to give you a heads up on this, I'm on the left flank. Okay, and the team has decided we're moving over to the rock on the right flank. That's where we're going to form up over there. So once again, it's I've got to run all the way over to the right flank on another one of these maps. I think a lot of you have noticed that I usually got to run a long way, and what I'm worried about is being intercepted by enemy troops. Now I don't like running my troops in the desert because they can get tired very quickly running in the desert, but in these circumstances I will run. And if I can get to these rocks before I'm intercepted, just pause the game for a second here, if I'm going to be threatened to be intercepted by enemy troops, then I'm going to get to these rocks. Now these rocks, believe it or not, are really good defense. I've only fought in them once. Okay, and if you form up at the back of the rocks there, if the enemy try attacking you, then those rocks kind of funnel their troops in between them. The enemy troops can't go over those rocks there, or boulders, whatever you want to call them, and they're funneled in between the rocks. And believe me, it's a great defensive position there. I held a whole Roman army there that one time that I played there. Okay, over here on our right flank you'll see Varus here. As I say, it's the first time he's used a Numidian army, so it'll be interesting to see how well he uses all that cavalry. If I was Demon here, I'd move my cavalry out the way pretty quick there, seeing those elephants and cavalry coming in behind me. Okay, so there you are, you can see Demon moving his cavalry. Okay, and don't forget the elephants have got archers on the rear of them. Even though this is a no archer, no slinger battle, okay, the elephants there have got archers on their backs there, so they are actually allowed. Okay, and you can see the Numidian cavalry and elephants are taking up a good tactical position there. I think Varus has grabbed a really good as I say, tactical ground position there, threatening the rear of our team there as we're facing the bulk of the enemy team coming towards us. So as I say, good tactical positioning there by Varus, and you can see my Spartans there running as fast as I can, hoping not to get intercepted by enemy cavalry. Okay, now you can see Demon has brought his Scipii cavalry across there, and he's brought them over there to cover my infantry, so he's kind of escorting my troops over to the right flank there. So nice bit of teamwork there by Demon. Okay, And as I say, over here you can see that Spitfyr has set his chariots up there, all ready to use. Because you see Varus moving forward there. Now he's moved forward onto a bit of higher ground. Remember we talked about undulating ground maps, how really you want to get onto the higher part of the ground. You certainly don't want to be onto the lower part of the ground there. And there's something I want to show you here, really cheeky, what I want to show you. Can you see here, great tactical move here. Barclayman got one of his fast moving chariots, look, got in between our armies there and smashed into the back of Demon's general unit. Okay, make no mistake there, Barclayman was looking and hoping to be lucky enough to take out a Demon's general. If we look closely, I think we see Demon's general here. If we look closely at this, there you are. There's the general, there's Demon's general. Look how close that scythe blade is to his head. Oh my gosh, just look how close that is there. Now, is Barclayman, going to take out Demon's general with his cheeky attack? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But a very cheeky but good tactical move there by Barclayman there, trying to take out Demon's general. It's very shall we say, sneaky move there by Barclayman. Now you can see that chariot unit that he brought round is now routed. Now can you see here, just pause the game for a second, that Demon has now released the dogs. You know that song, Who Let the Dogs Out? Well, now he's let the dogs out and they're chasing that chariot unit. Once you've set that dog unit on there, it'll just keep chasing that unit. Look. There, I say, very rare to see war dogs in the 31k battlefield there, on the 31k battlefield there, and it's chasing that chariot unit. It'd be interesting to see how well the dog unit does when it eventually catches that chariot unit, because I would have thought the chariot would win, wouldn't you? I mean, we'll just have to wait and see there. As you can see, the war dogs there chasing him. There you are. You can see Barclayman there may well try and run away from those war dogs rather than take them on. There you are. The war dogs have hit now, but you can see the chariots are trying to get away from the war dogs. You can see a lot of war dogs were just chopped there by the scythes of those chariots there, knocking them down, chopping them up there. And if you notice here, you'll see that Barclayman gets onto slightly higher ground on this undulating ground map. Okay, he's on slightly higher ground, and now he turns on the dogs. Now he's going downhill onto the dog slope. You see, down the slope there onto. Oh my gosh! Look, one of the chariots just got taken out by those war dogs. And I'm just thinking to myself there, you can see the war dogs attacking the chariots. I was just thinking if the Egyptian chariots came in, there you are. You can see Spitfyr here, seeing a chance maybe to take out this Pontus chariot there, and bang! As the Egyptian chariots charge in on this Pontus chariot. So you've got the war dogs and the Egyptian chariots attacking that one Pontus chariot unit there. Now you can see Varus counter-attacking there with his cavalry and camels there. Okay, so there you are. You can see the Numidians there attacking. You can see there that Spitfyr is taking out a group of 4 spear there units towards the Numidians, and now don't forget they would be anti-cavalry. You'll see that my Greek cities has just arrived on the right flank there from the left flank after running all the way over there, and as I say, being escorted by Demon's cavalry. Nice bit of teamwork there by Demon. Okay, so over here you will see the bulk of the enemy troops moving towards us. Now you'll notice here that Kratos, Sith Kratos here, he's just walking his troops there, because he knows that running in the desert, your troops will get tired really quickly, really easily there. So there's no need for him to run, so he's just walking very slowly there, so his troops will be fresh when he gets over here into the battle zone, if you like. But here you can see the Numidians here, Varus's Numidians trying to chase down the Egyptian chariots there. Okay, sheer weight of numbers there, I would think, would take out that chariot unit. And you got the elephants there as well. Now, one thing I noticed here is that the elephants frighten the chariots, okay, but the chariots don't frighten the elephants. Okay, so that's something you might not have known. that the elephants have got the fear factor on the chariots, but the chariots have not got fear factor on the elephants there. I just thought that was something you might not have known there. And there's that group of Egyptian spearmen there. Remember, the spearmen are anti-cavalry. Now, bearing in mind that Numidia are elephants and cavalry there, that is quite a potent group of anti-cavalry spearmen there that Spitfyr has put out. Okay, and here you can see them charging into one of Demon's cavalry units there. Okay, get ready for this. And bang! As they smash in there. It wouldn't surprise me if that cavalry unit routed almost immediately there. There you are, it's routed. Now you can see Demon throwing the other cavalry units in. If the Egyptian chariots come in from that side as well, you could sandwich them. There comes the Egyptian chariots. Great support there by Spitfyr as he charges in there. Bang! There's a chariot here. Right, okay, so here's something interesting which I hope you'll all find very interesting that you're going to see here. Pause the game for a second. Okay, so you can see the elephants there in amongst the melee. You can see me running my Spartans over to try and help. But here's the main thing I wanted to show you, the incendiary pigs. Okay, now just to let you know, what the Romans used to do was coat pigs in inflammable liquid, right? Head the pigs off towards enemy elephants and then set fire to the pigs, which is very, very cruel, of course. And the pigs were burning and squealing, and the smell of the pigs burning and the sound of the pigs squealing used to scare the enemy elephants so much that very often the elephants used to turn on their own troops in a bid to escape the burning pigs, and they used to just run through their own troops, killing their own troops there, trying to get away from the incendiary pigs. So the incendiary pigs were very effective, but of course very cruel there. Now what I want you to do is watch the Numidian elephants, okay, once the incendiary pigs are ignited. Okay, the incendiary pigs need to be ignited before they do the damage, right? So watch the pigs charging in. Okay, see the pigs charging in, they're not ignited yet. Okay, now watch for them to be ignited. Get ready. There, they've just been ignited. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second there. So the moment that the pigs became ignited by the elephants, okay, so you can see there that they are now ignited there. They're set on fire, and there you are, the elephant unit routed the moment that the incendiary pigs were set on fire. So that's the effectiveness on Rome Total War of incendiary pigs against elephants. Now you've heard that old saying about pigs will fly. Have you ever heard that saying, pigs will fly? Well, here you are, you can see the pigs actually look like they're flying there, but of course they've been flicked up into the air by those amok elephants there. Can you see them up in the air there? So as I say, as soon as the incendiary pigs were ignited, the Numidian elephant unit routed straight away. So as I say, if you're facing elephants, bringing incendiary pigs can be a really effective counter to the elephants there, as you've just seen. I hope you found that interesting. If you haven't seen that before, I thought you would find that interesting. Meanwhile, here can you see that Varus has charged a unit of his light cavalry into the anti-cavalry Egyptian spearmen there. So he lost that cavalry unit there. So anyway, I hope you found the incendiary pigs, although it's very cruel, it was very effective in its day. Right, can you see Fesen here has moved his Carthaginians forward? I would suggest that he may well want to move his Carthaginians back towards his allies a bit there, because of course he is very susceptible to pilot damage there. Okay, and you'll notice here I've got my Pontus, and the reason I say I bought my Pontus is because they're anti-chariot and anti-elephant as well. Okay, so that's why I've bought 4 heavy Pontus for this particular battle, to counter the chariots and to counter any elephants that get into range. Okay, so that's why I've got the Pontus there. I don't usually bring them. I wouldn't bring them really unless there was elephants on the other team, to be honest. But I bought them anyway because they are a good counter to the elephants there. As we said here, can you see that Fesen now has tactically decided he's going to move his Carthaginians back towards allies, which was a good move. And there you'll see that there's a unit of Demon's cavalry there, which he obviously hasn't spotted there. As you can see, the enemy troops moving in on that cavalry unit, and there's a good chance that cavalry unit may well be routed there. You need to get that cavalry unit out, or it is going to rout with that anti-cavalry Pontus pikeman going in on it there. He's just obviously concentrating on another part of the battlefield at the moment. Okay, so here you'll see that the Pontus pikemen there are attacking the Carthage spearmen there. Now, just to say that Carthage specifications allow them to punch above their weight when it comes to the big 121 man units. Here you'll see Demon being very aggressive, moving towards Mantu's green Brutio army there. Okay, there'll be a lot of poilers being exchanged there between those two armies, as you can see there. Very aggressive move there by Demon. I thought he's got his Egyptian allies spearmen right behind him now as well to help him out. And as I say here, I was very surprised that an experienced Pontus general like Barclayman there would allow his pikes to be fighting the Carthaginians there head on. Okay, so as I say, you can see here that Varus, as I say, has put his cavalry and elephants in a very good tactical position in behind us. So obviously we're facing the three enemy armies that are coming towards us in front of us there. But with that Numidian army in behind us, we've got to keep an eye on what's happening behind us as well. Okay, so let's just pause the game for a second here. So what I'm thinking here is what Demon and Spitfyr may well do. They may well pull their troops back and form up on this higher ground. I think that would be possibly a good tactical move there for them to do that. Okay, but as I say here, you can see that the Carthaginians, the Sacred Band Carthaginians, as I say, their specifications really allow them to punch above their weight when it comes to fighting these big 121 man units. And with the upgrades that he's put on them as well, I mean, Fesen's got a really good chance of possibly taking out all of the Pontus pike army there. I mean, what would be maybe a better tactical move is if one of the enemy Roman armies faced Carthage here, where they could throw loads of pilers in and damage the Carthaginians there. I don't know what you guys think. Please put your thoughts in the comments on that one. But I think for the Pontus general here to want to face Carthage would be an unusual tactic for me, because we know that Carthage will beat those 121 man Pontus units there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. There you can see Kratos bringing his purple SPQR troops possibly round our flank. I need to maybe put my Spartans up on a higher bit of ground there. Can you see that's a higher bit of ground on this undulating ground map here? If I put my Spartans up on that little bit of ground there to face the flanking attack of the enemy purple SPQR troops. There's some Numidian light cavalry charging in there. Look. And you can see there that Spitfyr is throwing some of his anti-cavalry spearmen forward there towards that Numidian cavalry. Make no mistake here, all the way through the battle, Varus that was behind us kept nibbling away at our heels. You know what I mean? Just charging his cavalry and trying to take advantage there. Actually, he did really well with Numidia, and I spoke to him after the battle, and he said he really enjoyed taking Numidia. Okay, so let's just pause the game for a second here. So with the elephants and cavalry of Numidia in behind us here, okay, especially the elephants there, where we know they got the big charge factor and big fear factor, they could look to smash into the rear of my Spartan battle formation here. So that's when I'm going to bring my anti-chariot and anti-elephant heavy PEL tests in behind my Spartans. I think that would be a good tactical move there to protect the rear of my Spartans if I get engaged with the enemy SPQR infantry there. Okay, there you are. You can see, I can see Varus, the way that he's positioning his cavalry, possibly looking to smash into the rear of my general there, on the chance of taking out the general, which he may well do. Okay, so as we looked at earlier here, you can see that both Demon and Spitfyr have moved on to that slightly higher bit of ground by the rock there, which we thought they may well do. Now, I don't think there's any chance at all of Mantu attacking this position here. You can see that Scipio and Egypt are very strong there. And as I say here, as I think we all know that, as we talked about earlier, Carthage will beat Pontus there. There's a good chance Carthage could punch a hole through Pontus there. And as I say, I'm moving my heavy PEL tests in behind my Spartan battle formation there, just to protect the rear of my Spartans from any possible elephant attack. Can you see here the Numidian general Varus trying to get to the Egyptian general there? Did you see that? He wanted to hit the Egyptian general there, try and take the Egyptian general, take the general morale bonus away there. And here they are, you can see I put my heavy power test there. They're now throwing their spears into those Numidian cavalry. They got a bit close there. Took out a few of their cavalry there with those spears there. So as I say there, I've got my heavy power tests in behind my Spartan battle formation there to protect them from any rear attack by elephants or cavalry. Okay, but here, as I say, just look at the way that Fesen is being very, very aggressive. He knows that his Carthage Sacred Band Spearmen there will, you know, beat the Pontus pikemen there. I mean, Fesen could actually punch a hole through the middle of those Pontus pike units there if he really wanted to. And as I say, here at the rear, we've got those Egyptian anti-cavalry spearmen there facing Numidia. And as I said before, I've got my heavy power test there facing enemy cavalry and elephants. As I say, remember those heavy power tests are anti-chariot and anti-cavalry as well. Okay, so there's a general situation here, and here you can see Kratos bringing some of his SBQR infantry across there to help his Pontus ally. I mean, he's going to throw pilers in there. As I say, really it would have been better maybe for a Roman army to face Carthage rather than Pontus. Please put your thoughts in the comments there. And as I say here, I don't think there's any chance at all of Mantu attacking on our right flank or their left flank there. Okay, and here you can see the Carthaginians there really pushing in to those Pontus pikes there. And over here, as I say, Kratos there moving his infantry forward. So I'm going to move my Spartans over a little bit here on just slightly more higher ground there, just to face the SBQR troops. And you can see I'm moving my power tests in behind, closer in behind my Spartan battle formation as well. So you can see them moving there. But as I say, Varus was very good with Numidia in behind. Just kept attacking, nibbling away at us there from behind. But as I say, just look how the Carthaginians here. This is a great tactical move by Fesen that got some units in behind those couple of Pontus units there as he came in from the front as well, routing those two units. You can see here that Mantu is bringing some of his Brutio units in to help his Pontus ally, because they can see that their Pontus ally is losing here. And I mean, just look at this. See this line of dead? If you look closely, you'll see that the vast majority of those are Pontus pikemen that have been killed by the Carthaginians there. So I think not having a Rome there could have been a tactical mistake. Please, you know, please put your thoughts in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong there. But here you can see my Spartans there, and I know that I'm thinking of attacking this SBQR unit there because he's sending possibly more units over to help his Pontus ally there, and I prefer him to attack me if possible. As I say, I've got my heavy power test there ready for any elephant attack that comes in behind me there. You see me advancing forward slightly there just to attack that light infantry unit that was just in front of me there, throwing spears into me. But I say, meanwhile over here you'll see that Demon and Spitfyr have sent reinforcements over to help our Carthage ally Fesen there, fighting the green Brutii infantry of Mantu. I think they were, look, all the Pontus pikes in that area have been bait. Well, there's one unit left, look. The rest of the Pontus pikes that were there have all been taken out. And you can see there that they're really pushing in. But over here, as I say, in this position, I don't think there's any chance at all of Mantu attacking up that slope against Scipii and Egyptian troops. Okay, but we just have to wait and see. He may well come over to the other flank if I attack SBQR there. Well, we just have to watch and see for that, because as I say, as a lot of you know, I like to be aggressive with my Spartan army, and I'm looking to attack SBQR, and I reckon that Mantu would bring his Brutio army over to this flank to help his ally out. Just a thought on that. But just to give you a warning here, a heads up, I am looking to be very aggressive and attacking SBQR there. Now, as I say here, if you look, you'll see most of the Pontus pikes that were there have now been taken out. Okay, so Fesen's done really well. Right, see this Brutii cavalry coming in there of Mantu's, look, and bang! As he smashes into those Carthage units, and again, look, bang! Routed those 2 Carthage units on impact. Great support there by Mantu, helping his Pontus ally out there. But you'll see now that we're moving our troops forward now. Can you see we're sending reinforcements in there to help Fesen? And you'll see, as I say, a lot of Pontus pikes there starting to rout. So now I've decided I'm going to attack. Okay, because I got the impression that Kratos was looking maybe to send reinforcements over to their centre there. So what I'm going to do is attack and try and hold and pin his units on this flank here. Okay, now whether that's a good move or not, we just have to wait and see, because I've moved down from the higher position now. And if you notice here, I'm on the slightly lower part of the ground there. So not maybe a very good move there for me to do that. But as you can see, I am making inroads into that SBQR infantry. You'll see here a good move by Kratos, getting his SBQR troops on the higher ground at where I was stood. Okay, so they'll have the down slope advantage if they come into the rear of my Spartans. Plus, he's moving his cavalry over here as well, and he's above my Spartans there, so he can have a down slope advantage into me as well there. But as I say, I just wanted to pin and hold these SBQR troops. Now, as I say, watch out for Mantu's infantry. It wouldn't surprise me if he ran his troops over here, because he's not going to make any headway on his flank, but he may well come over to try and help his ally. As I say here, you can see the Pontus. I think there's just 2 Pontus pike units left. There you go. If you look, there's just 2 Pontus pike units left. And as I say, you can see Kratos has already brought some of his infantry across. 3 Pontus pike units, I believe. But it'll be interesting to see what happens to those Pontus pikes. And as I say here, I just charged forward really to try and pin and hold as many of these SBQR troops as I could, to stop them going over to reinforce their centre, which is, as you can see, starting to break there. In fact, if you look, I think all the Pontus, basically most of the Pontus pikes have been taken out. If you notice here, I've got my Pelotess in behind my Spartans. Now, I've made a tactical mistake here, because this cavalry, remember these Pelotess here, what I needed to do was put a couple of Spartan units in front of those Pelotess there, to brace them, if you know what I mean, because they're just going to get hit and smashed by this cavalry now, and they're not strong enough to take a cavalry hit. So what I should have done is put a couple of my Spartan units in front of the Pelotess there, but I didn't do that. So watch what happens to the Pelotess now. And bang! As that cavalry smashes in there. So unfortunately, because I didn't put good Spartan protection on the Pelotess there, those Pelotess are now going to basically all rout there. So that was my fault there. And if you notice here, can you see that Barclayman is keeping that scythe unit there without engaging it? But of course, look, can you see, if you look at this unit here, look, frightened by chariots. So as we looked at before, the chariot unit doesn't appear to be doing anything, but it's sapping the morale of my Spartans there. Okay, so that's he's just there, just stood there sapping the morale. Not look like he's doing anything. I think all my Pelotess have now been routed there. Okay, so you can see the SBQR troops closing it, and you can see actually really I'm in a poor position there. As I say, I've gone onto a lower part of the ground there, allowing the enemy troops to be on slightly higher ground. Right, let's just pause the game for a second here. So as I say, I'm holding and pinning the SBQR troops the best I can, but here you will see that, as I thought earlier, you'll see that Mantu, realising he wasn't going to make any headway on that flank, is now moving over to help his SBQR ally to attack my Spartans. Okay, and he's going straight through the centre there. Can you see? He's moving straight across there to go over to his ally on the other flank. You can see the Numidian cavalry of Varus is charged in there as well. And as I say here, you can see my Spartans, as I say, pinning and holding the SBQR infantry. I'm just waiting for another cavalry attack to come in there that could finish off my Spartans there. You can see there Kratos taking his SBQR cavalry over. And if you notice there, can you see he's now linked up with Mantu's green Brutii army, plus you've got all of the Numidian cavalry there. And it looks to me like they're going to smash into my Spartans there. And I think, looking at the enemy numbers there, that my Spartan army could be completely routed. I'm just looking at the numbers there. Okay, that's what's worrying me. I think they'll go for those 3 Spartan units that are isolated first, that are fighting. If you notice, there's 3 Spartan units that are fighting. They're a bit isolated from the main army. Yeah, there you are. You can see the SBQR cavalry going into them. Look. Oh my gosh, that's our Carthage allies general just been taken out. Watch these 3 units. I don't think they're going to hold their... See the downslope advantage that SBQR cavalry has got on this undulating ground map. So there you are, you can see, now you can also see that Mantu's cavalry's got across here. You've got the Numidian cavalry there. Can you see he just attacked Fesen's troops there? You can see a couple of Fesen's Carthage troops have been routed. You've got the chariot unit there as well. But that was a good little hit by Varus. Look, charge in into the Carthage. Oh my gosh, there's a Numidian general. Looks a little bit exposed, doesn't he? The Carthage spears there. It'd be interesting to see if Fesen manages to get him. But that was a nice charge there by Fesen. But now that's allowed all the enemy Brutii troops of Mantu, both cavalry and infantry, to attack me, as well as the enemy SBQR troops. Okay, so you can see both Mantu and Sith Kratos there really concentrating on my Spartan troops there. Now, this could be a good thing. Okay, I'm possibly going to lose my army here, but it will allow my allies to regroup and reorganize. Okay, so even though I might lose all my army here, I hope I'm going to weaken the enemy troops at least. But if I lose all my troops, at least if my allies have managed to regroup and reorganize, then that may well be worth it. But just look, remember the enemy had 36 cavalry and chariots against our 10 chariots and cavalry there. But here you can see I've got Brutii infantry and the SBQR infantry really pushing in on my Spartans, and all that cavalry locked and loaded, ready to charge in. But as I say, you can see my allies now have regrouped and reorganized there, which is good. I'm really pleased that they've managed to do that, because with me kind of taking the enemy hits at this stage, it's taken a lot of pressure off of my allies, and as I say, enabling them to regroup and you know, kind of get ready for the next stage of the battle. Here you can see Numidian troops, cavalry and elephants charging into that one spear unit there that's still holding. Did you notice it got hit by all that cavalry and elephants? Still holding. Right, that's my Greek city's general has just been killed. So the end is near for me now. As you can see there, most of my units have been routed. I got one unit still fighting there, but you can see the rest of my units have been taken out there by that combination of Brutii and SBQR troops. You can see my allies moving forward now into the troops. They reorganized and regrouped and have now got into a good formation there as they charge forward into the enemy troops there. Okay, but as I say, I think my contribution to the battle will be over now, as my entire army has just been taken out. There, just sheer weight of numbers, and of course the chariot unit there sapping morale from my troops all the time as well there. You can see, oh, that's good news, the Numidian general's just been taken out, so that's taken the morale bonus away from them. I can see that chariot is charged into the rear of our Egyptian ally. Oh my gosh, look at all the cavalry and the elephants there ready to charge in to our allies. Oh, pause the game for a second there. Okay, so as I say, my allies now are advancing towards the enemy troops, but I hope they've turned spear units to face the threat coming in behind them there. Okay, you can see there's a big threat there coming in. There goes the cavalry, the SBQR cavalry, and bang! As they smash in there. You can see the elephants there as well. Are the elephants going to go in? No, he's not going to charge the elephants in there, but the SBQR cavalry. Right, can you see the Brutii infantry of Mantu are being advanced forward there towards our troops? Okay, now you can see that Spitfyer's Egyptian troops there are holding really well. Okay, I thought he's played Egypt really well here. Right, see that Brutii cavalry of Mantu charging there? Oh my gosh. That is Spitfyer's general has just been taken out. Our Egyptian allies' general has just been taken out there. Oh my gosh, here comes an elephant attack. Now this could be a pivotal part of the battle. Once that elephant unit hits, is it going to cause a mass rout? And bang! as that Numidian elephant smashes in to our allies' troops. Oh my gosh. And look how he takes the elephants on into Demons, Scipio infantry there. Just look at that. And there's another elephant unit coming in as well. I can see another elephant unit going in there, and bang! As it smashes in there as well. And now the SPQR cavalry going in there, look, and bang! As it smashes in there. Right, so you can see the SPQR cavalry charging there, but Fesen has managed to turn to face the threat there coming in there of those cavalry. And he's just turned there, his anti-cavalry spearman there has managed to hold there against that SPQR cavalry hit. The elephants there, I think as the elephant unit's been routed, so somehow we managed to hold on there against that massive cavalry and elephant attack. And don't forget, we've got enemy SPQR and enemy Brutii infantry attacking us at the front as well. So we were smashed in the rear by cavalry and elephants, and somehow my allies managed to hold. And now you can see it looks like we've routed most of the enemy troops there. Oh my gosh, there's the Pontus general there. Barclayman still charging his Pontus general in there, just pulling him back and then charging him back in again. But oh my gosh, yeah, it looks like our he always charges his cavalry unit back in again, that general unit back in again, like a bang as he charges it back in there. But as I say, it looks like yeah, it looks like our team has managed to go on to win the battle there. He's charged that general unit in again. But I just think at this stage of the battle it's just best really to admit defeat, and let's get in the lobby and get another game going. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what all of you are thinking there. And he's still got his general there that's still fighting, like you can see. But it wouldn't surprise me if that general unit routes here and he just admitted defeat. Oh, well, okay, so just to say our team managed to go on to win the battle. But what a spread out battle this was. I mean, over here, like you can see here, there is dead there. You can see, I think that's a lot of Numidian dead there. Over here, like you can see once again where the fighting was here, like skirmishing kind of thing there, wasn't it, I think. And then over here, more dead there, as you can see. I can see chariots and elephant carcasses there as we move across the battlefield. Over here you can see very intense fighting there. You can see by the amount of dead. And just look at those dead Pontus pikemen there. I mean, just look at, you can see how the Carthaginians just kind of punched right through the middle of them. Over here you can see a lot of dead Brutii cavalry. Here, more dead there. Over here, can you see how my dead red cloak Spartans really stick out on the desert battlefield there? You know, it's kind of sad to see all those dead the red cloak Spartans, isn't it? But I suppose they did okay. I don't think their kill count's going to be very good either at the end of the battle there. But let's say the more you look at the battlefield here around this area, you can see how many dead there and how intense the fighting was. So very intense there, as you can see. Let's say you can see there that I think Fesen might have, is it 2 or 3? He's got 2 units there. I think if I remember right, he might have 4 units left out of the entire 16 units that he yeah, there's the other 2. Look, so there you are. He's got, out of his 16 spear units that he bought, he's just got 4 that's left. You can see Demons units have been reduced dramatically, but I thought Spitfyr with his Egyptian unit here, which is looked upon possibly as a weaker 31k faction, did really well. So the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. I thought everybody played well. As you can see, it was a close victory. As I say, close victories are very rare these days, so when we have one, I always like to show that battle. Okay, highest kills in the game goes to Brotherhood member Fesen with his Carthage army there. Over 2,000 kills. I think even today, getting over 2,000 kills is still special. So well done to Fesen there. And most of those dead that he killed there would have been, of course, Pontus. So well done to Varus. The first time that he's bought a Pontus army there. He might be disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills, but I thought he played very well with that Numidian army there. So really well done to him, bearing in mind it's the first time he's ever used it. Barclayman there, look at the size of the army that he bought. So I'm guessing he's going to be disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills. As I say, very unusual, I would say, putting Pontus up against Carthage there. Just please leave your thoughts in the comments. Well done to Mantu there, got some good kills with his Brute army. And well done to Kratos, bearing in mind this is possibly only the 3rd game in over 10 years since he played Rome Total War. Got some good kills as well. My kills, not very good. I've just managed to scrape over 1,000 there, but I'm amazed that I got the 2nd highest kills in the team. So I'm amazed at that. As I say, well done to Spitfyr with his Egyptian army. Got some good kills there with Egypt, which is often looked upon as a lesser 31k faction, and he's still got a lot of troops left at the end of the battle as well. And well done to Demon there. You might be disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills, but he played really well with his troops there. So he did really well there, so well done there. And just show you how close the battle was, as I say, Fesen got the highest kills in the game, but if you notice, Mantu and Kratos in the losing team got the 2nd and 3rd highest kills. So well done to them, just goes to show how close the battle was. Now what do you think about faction advantage there? So they got Numidia, Pontus, Rome, and don't forget they had 36 cavalry and chariots between them. Okay, 36 cavalry and chariots in their team. And we got Greek cities, Carthage, Egypt and Rome. So which team do you think had faction advantage there? Be interested to see what you think. As I say, I always like reading what you think about our battle, so please leave a comment, your thoughts in the comments, and please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this close battle. Spartan Commander saying bye for now.